everybody. Good morning from New York. If it's not the morning for you, then good afternoon. I'm so excited to be talking to you today about writing content that converts. This is like the entire way that I've built my business is creating content that converts people from being a follower or just a random person on the internet to somebody who lands in your inbox and says, oh my God, what you wrote today really touched me and I want to know how to work with you, right? Like this is kind of the dream come true for people. And so I'm really excited to be sharing this content with you today. I want to share with you the top mistakes that I see and the top ways that, like the top things that I put into my own process. And these are things that I have seen work for myself and for others. And they may seem like little things, but this is a very big thing in the long run. If it's something that, say you change one word to this, or a noun to a verb and a I to a U, now you're going to see somebody purchase a program, right? That's a big difference. It might seem simple here and now, but when you see results, it's huge. So that's my goal for you. So first off, I want to share some of the big mistakes that I see people make with content. And for those of you who know me a bit, you know that I actually got started by being a marketer. So technically I started by being a writer, and I was a writer. I published a book. I learned how to market that book and start a business that way. And then I was requested by multiple other businesses to do marketing for them. So then I started a marketing business, which is really funny because I say it's like my accidental business because I was focusing on becoming a published author. That was my goal. And then I wound up with this flourishing marketing business that had 6 clients by the end of like the first month, maybe second month. And this is going back now over 5 years. So I've been doing marketing for a while, and I've seen the changes in the industry, and obviously most of our marketing happens on social media platforms at this point. I do know people who still do like mailing, and that works great in certain ways. It really, really depends how you position yourself, so that's number one, is knowing like what is your intention, how do you need to position yourself in order to be effective, what platform are you going to be doing this on, right? The number one thing that I've seen, and this is true for the last 5 years that I've been in marketing, as well as, starting this business and being more so in the space of promoting myself. And because previously marketing, I was just focusing on marketing other people. And that business was completely run by referrals and word of mouth. I never had a website. I never had business cards. I just had this marketing business that magically flourished on its own. This is like what everybody wants, right? So it's been kind of fun to now step into the coaching world and to play at a higher level, have high ticket offerings, have all different offerings, and be in a position where I'm teaching you how to market your own business. And the reason why I think this is super important is because you are your business, right? How many of you are service-based entrepreneurs? I think everybody on this call is a service-based entrepreneur, meaning that you're selling your own services. Or that's where you're heading. Maybe you feel like I want to get a certification this year and I want to become a teacher of some sort. You're going in the direction of being a service-based entrepreneur, which means that you are your business. And so the way that you position yourself is really important. And it's not to say that you need to change yourself or you need to become a different person, but it's what reflection of you is going to come forward that's going to inspire people, that's going to educate people, support people. What version of you, what way can you position yourself so that you are in a place where people know that they can trust you, rely on you, and thus invest in you and receive this transformation and this beautiful experience by working with you? That's what we really want to know. And of course, that means that you have to be, number one, in a position of not talking about yourself, because it's not about you, right? What I just said was not about you particularly. Yes, it's how you position yourself, but it's not about you. It's about them. At the end of the day, this all comes back to the client. How can we best serve the client? How can we create transformation in other people's lives? Because that's how, as an entrepreneur, you're going to thrive, right? If you create transformation for people, if you support them, if you inspire them, that's how you make an impact. And if you make an impact, then yeah, you're going to make a great income. You're going to do really well as an entrepreneur. If you're hiding, if you're afraid to show up, you're less likely to make an impact in people's lives, and thus you're less likely to succeed. And I don't say that in the sense of, if you're introverted, you're not going to succeed. I am so introverted. I am so introverted. Like, last night I told my friends, I was like, I have to go home because I have to be in bed by like 10 o'clock. And they're like all going out to get beers and chicken wings. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to go home, do my full moon ceremony, go to sleep. Is anybody else like that? I'm wondering if some of you are like, oh, I'm a little too introverted to be an entrepreneur. Trust me, you're not. There's self-development there, and the person who's extroverted, they have self-development there too. Every single person has this experience of being an entrepreneur that's going to encourage them to evolve as a human being. Being an entrepreneur it's a spiritual journey. Right? So from this perspective of having a spiritual journey, going through your marketing, creating content, doing this, and being in a place of serving other people, number one, it's not about you. So a lot of the times, the biggest mistake I see is that people are going forward with their marketing and they're like, well, I'm going to put my marketing out there, and the first thing I'm going to say is and this is my certification, and these are my letters, and this and that, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, those things are important, trust me. Of course, you spent so much time and energy on attaining them and becoming this person, but that's not actually what a person wants to know when they decide to work with you. They want to know that you're going to create a transformation for them. So speak to that, right? And you can sneak in like, so off the top of my head, here's an example. Say you are a hypnotherapist, right? I'm getting on the phone with a hypnotherapist today. I'm really excited. The first thing that you're going to say is not, I am so-and-so. I am a certified hypnotherapist. That's great. That's definitely helpful. But what's going to be more effective and probably going to get somebody to be like, I want to work with that person is, my mission is to support this kind of person, support somebody who is feeling blocked and trapped by their belief system, to abolish that belief system and put a new one in place. I do this through hypnotherapy, etc., right? That person probably has other skill sets as well that they want to talk about, but it's positioning the client first, and it's positioning their wants and their desires and their needs first, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're talking about how you're a hypnotherapist, then you're kind of putting yourself in this mixed bag of everybody else who does that, right? You're not actually standing out for what you are uniquely drawn to. And again, this is that spiritual journey of entrepreneurship, that self-development journey of entrepreneurship, is you learning to stand out and learning to speak out for exactly what your mission is, right? Because it's not just, I'm just here to teach yoga, right? Every single yoga teacher has a different style, different approach, different belief system on how their lineage may be better than another one, or, whatever example you may have. Even music. So John's here. John is a musician, and he is not like any other music teacher because he also brings in singing bowls, sound healing, and all kinds of other things, right? So he's not just going to be like, I'm a music teacher. He's going to bring forward all these other modalities, but the best way, again, is to position it so that you are talking to the client first, allowing them to see that you are there for them, right? You're fulfilling their wants, desires, needs, and that's creating trust for them, okay? So that's like number one. That, if you can do that, that's going to completely transform your business, right? So any of you who are creating Facebook events, any of you who have a Facebook, which is everybody here, obviously, any of you who use social media for marketing, or you think that potentially there could be potential clients on your Facebook or on your Instagram or whatever your social media platform is, or maybe you're writing emails, whatever it might be, even if you don't use social media for your marketing and you create a poster or a flyer or anything, like anything, a conversation with somebody, somebody asks you what you do, you position it so that you're talking to them first and you're putting the client first in that conversation, and then kind of slipping in what you do. That's going to make a huge transformation. So that's number one. And of course, that goes without saying that you're not going to speak so much about yourself, right? You're not going to be talking like, I had this happen today and da 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 da. Like, there should always be, this is number two, an intention, right? So number one is put the client first. Don't be talking about yourself and proving yourself and validating yourself. Talk to their wants, desires, and needs first. And then number two is have an intention. And so this is kind of more of a broad term. This is like a broad rule because there's a couple different ways I apply this. So I'm sure so many of you know what an intention is at this point. It's kind of like that token word that's thrown around the spiritual realm. And I'm sure if you've taken any meditation class ever, you've heard set your intention. And of course, we're probably doing that right now, getting ready for 2020. So same thing happens for your content. If you want content that converts, you have to be very intentional about it. And this doesn't mean that it's going to take you hours and hours to write one post. It just means set an intention of what do you want, right? Say I have a workshop, or better example, I just told you all that I'm opening doors for Soul Line Business Academy again. My intention is to create content that's going to speak to the people who need that support level of receiving support, growing their businesses. So all my content for the time from now until the doors close is going to be with the intention of speaking to the person who wants to scale their business to 10K months or multiple six figures and learn all of these pieces, the ins and outs of business, so that they can find that free flow, right? So I know where I want my content to go. I know what I want to see my business do in the next couple months. Ideally, you have figured that out, right? Ideally, you've been thinking, even if it's I have a retreat coming, or I have a workshop coming, or I have this, that's an intention, right? It doesn't have to be the intention for all of 2020. It can be the intention for this month. With that, if your intention is I want to have 3 people join a workshop versus I want to have 20 people join a workshop, you're going to have a very different marketing schedule. But again, having that intention, right? So knowing what you want, right? Know what you want. Don't be afraid to get crystal clear on it. Of course, we don't want to be attached to it and obsessing over this, because then it doesn't give the universe that possibility of coming in and helping you bring that manifestation to reality. But being clear on how you want to feel, what you want it to look like, what you want the transformation for them to be, what you want the experience for that person to be, whether it's your workshop or your retreat or your program or your product that you're launching. And all of your content is geared towards this intention. And what I mean by that is that all your content should be directing people in a way. You may have heard the term funnel, right? This is a very heavy business marketing word. Funnel is the idea of somebody being able to go through this sort of like process. And you can set up a funnel in, maybe it's an email series, right? I'm sure so many of you are getting an email series that's automated, and you don't even know that it's an automated series that they've set up in order to encourage you to kind of get warmed up, learn things, and then ideally purchase something. right? A funnel is always sending you in a particular direction because it has an intention. The intention is to sell this product, or to get you to join this free webinar, or to do this or to do that. There's an intention. The other thing here is, what is your intention for the person who is reading it? What is your intention? How do you want them to feel, right? How do you want them to feel? So being mindful of that. There's one more thing I wanted to say about the intention, and this is like a bit more of a deep dive. This could be a whole training on its own. The idea of having an intention, I mean, it's like all throughout Sava, and that's a 16-week program. So it goes deep, trust me. But the big thing at the end of the day is that you're setting an intention and you're really focused on getting somebody to acknowledge that there's a way that they can go deeper, right? So giving them a doorway. So if you post something, there should be some kind of doorway, right? Some kind of, maybe it's an invitation, or maybe it's like a hint dropped, or maybe it's a full-blown, hey, this is what's happening, I'm launching, da da da, whatever your style is. That's, that's not totally my style, but that's just me. And you can be you, right? This is the beauty of this entire planet, is that each of us can be who we are. So being mindful of that, writing things from the perspective of how you're going to fill people's needs, wants, desires. And finally, the big thing, and I want to speak to some of the mistakes of this last rule before diving fully into it, is be personal. Like, be social. We use social media for marketing, and a lot of the times people are getting confused on the social part, and it's like it's kind of like we have to go to school for it, because it's not as simple as I want to think it would be. But you'll probably see this. How many of you have had a message this week from somebody copying and pasting something to you? I received something the other day from somebody who was like, hey, send this to all your friends that might be interested in buying my course. And I was like, what? I don't even know you. I don't know what you do. I don't know how good you are at what you do. And now you're telling me to, I've never purchased from her. I don't know who she is. And I was like, now you are copying and pasting a message in my inbox and telling me to tell my friends about you. Like, my friends trust me, and I wouldn't break that trust. Same thing with my clients. I don't tell my clients anything that I have not practiced. I don't sell them anything that I don't believe in, right? Being authentic and true and, in your integrity is super important. So I'm sure so many of you have received some kind of copy and paste message recently, right? And it's kind of getting sad. Like, it actually sometimes makes me really sad, because I'm like, one, I don't think this person is bad or right or wrong or anything like that, but I think that they're missing out on being really, really successful. They're sabotaging their reputation. Really, I now would look at the person who sent me a copy and pasted message and be like, you're not willing to put in the work to really be in an intimate container with me, create something intimately with me, because you just copy and paste me and see me as a number. That's how I feel as somebody receiving it. So that's not something I tell people to do. That's not something I tell my clients to do. And the other thing that I've seen is people going into other Facebook groups and promoting themselves. I've seen a lot of people who will, well, recently more so, any of you use Instagram and do the stories, and then they have that little tag, like that one, they have a bunch of different stickers, and there's one that you can ask a question and people can answer it. And now I see a lot of people promoting themselves in the answers to that, and I'm like, what do you think you're gaining from this? This is a waste of your energy. So there's things like that I see happening. And again, these are like big no-nos. Like, you're ruining your reputation, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting my energy. And now there's like this lower frequency vibration between us, that why would I want to invest in that? Does anybody else feel this way? I'm still kind of like, oh, this is such an old paradigm. Like, this is such a scarcity consciousness, fear-based approach to marketing. And I really, really think that there's a much better way. Number one, if you feel like you want to reach a bigger audience, there are really good ways to do it. There are really, really good ways to do it. And a lot of this, I go over towards like the end of Saba, where like we've already like I want you to actually think about doing that after you've already utilized the space that you're in, right? I don't think you need to be going all the way out into like these Facebook groups that have thousands and thousands of people and trying to make yourself known before you've even been known by the people who already love, trust you, and have been connected to you for years. I think that you are missing out on great potential in that space. I think that later in time, yes, grow and build in a different way. But if you're going to go into other Facebook groups or you're going to go on other people's pages and promote yourself or something like that, there's a much better way to go about it that's going to build your reputation as a leader, as somebody that can be trusted, and as somebody who is being brought to that space because you're very good at what you do, right? So what I mean by that is, I'm sure you can kind of sit back and see from this perspective, but say somebody goes into a Facebook group or, onto your page and they're posting something and they're promoting themselves versus if I invite somebody into this page and I talk about them and I say, this girl is amazing at what she does. And then she promotes herself because I invited her to. Who are you going to want to work with more? Who are you going to want to work with more? You're going to want to work with the person who is there because she's already been vouched for, not somebody who's pushing and hustling and shoving their way through. We don't live in this paradigm anymore. Business is changing. And the new age of business is not coming from that lower frequency vibration, that scarcity mindset. It's not coming from that space anymore. And when we're coming from that space, we're limiting ourselves, right? We are now stepping into a new age that is filled with wealth consciousness. Filled with wealth consciousness, right? People have gone from needing to spend 40 years to get to a point of making $80,000 to now I grew my business in a year and was making about that. That's crazy, right? People used to work so hard and that's what equated to how much they would make. And now we can see the timeline collapse. We can see ease and flow be the thing that attracts clients, right? We don't have to push and shove and do all these crazy things. It's just understanding how to be in the wealth consciousness and then take action through your content and through your marketing in that energy. And that's what's going to magnetize you. That's what's going to attract people to work with you, right? So keep that in mind. And again, this is me speaking from my own experience, from my clients' experience. This stuff works. So you don't have to fall into the trap of hustling and copying and pasting messages and hoping that it gets maybe 2% conversion. No. You can have people landing in your messages and saying, hey, I saw what you did today and I really want to work with you. That's how my business has grown. I am never going to push somebody to work with me. I don't need to. I don't want to. And I don't believe that you need to or want to either. If you do, we can have a whole different conversation, and I'm not judging. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, why hustle and push and force if we're stepping into a new age? Why not flow with that new age and harmonize with that and experience your growth, your abundance from a place of ease and flow? Juicy, right? So much better. So, number one, putting the client's needs, wants, and desires first. And that is in the structure of how you write, it's in the structure of how you speak, it's in the structure of everything. It's them first, right? Service-based business, put the service first. Number two is, gosh, what was number two? Oh, your intention. Putting your intention into the work and being mindful that everything is going to be going towards that intention, right? Everything should be intentional. You should be aware when you're creating something, I'm creating it for this purpose. I actually had a conversation with a client on Wednesday, and we were talking about it. She was like, I just feel like I post because I have to. And I'm like, no, you post because you want to. That's how this should work. You post because you want to and because you are mindful, and it's a ceremony. Like it's the same as meditation in that sense of like you're going into it with an intention for you and for the reader or the listener or the viewer, whoever it might be that you're sharing with. Number 3, put the social back in social media, please, for goodness sake. And really deeply connect with people, right? And this also goes back to like the basics of marketing. There's tons and tons of videos in here if you want to catch one on how to attract your ideal client. Number 1 is to really know their energy, know their vibration more than anything else, right? It's not about their age or their looks or this or that. Like we're stepping away from, again, that old paradigm of marketing and going into the space of what frequency are they on? When I go into meditation and I envision myself calling in the number of women that I want to work with for this program that's coming up, I'm literally like, whoa, like they have a very high frequency. And they're probably not going to respond to me posting a copy and paste ad in somebody else's Facebook group. No, they're going to be somebody that I'll feel their vibration in real life. I'll feel their vibration. And when we connect and we talk, it's an intimate conversation. Right? Anybody who has spoken to me in Instagram Messenger knows like it's a real conversation. Not selling you. I'm just here. I'm reading Maggie's comments. Beautifully said, love. I've never reached out to any one of my clients first. I want them to feel attraction first. Yes, and this is like, this is a whole nother conversation entirely, but the other thing is, as women, it is so important for us to give consent, right? It's important for us to feel that we are giving consent and not feeling like penetrated by messages landing in our inbox that are uninvited. Right? Does anybody else resonate with this? I mean, this could go super deep, but the attraction and the genuine connection, that is where we all thrive, right? And if we're putting service first, it means giving your client the opportunity to make an empowered choice to work with you. To make an empowered choice to work with you. That means attraction first. It's like dating. I meant to say that earlier too. Like think about your client attraction process and your content writing process like you're dating somebody. You're going to focus on them. You're going to ask them questions. Like really make it intimate, make it loving. All right. But that's it for today. Wrapping it up. So recap on that was put the client first, be intentional, and put the social back in social media. All right. I'll talk to you all next week.